Hey everybody, it's Flyin Ryan here with a review of the Syma X9 flying car. Now this is a pretty cool little model here. This is an actual powered wheeled car and quadcopter in one. This isn't one of these deals where it just uses the props to move the car forward. The wheels themselves actually get power to them. So it's a pretty quick model on the ground. It drives really nice and fast. And then you can just transition right off into flying and fly away. So pretty cool. It has LEDs. In the front here you've got white, and in the back you've got red. So just like an actual car, you've got red brake lights and white headlights. I thought that was a pretty nice touch, and it works well for orientation. We'll go ahead and look at the transmitter. This is pretty standard Syma style, other than when they don't go with the Xbox 360 style. They all look like this. So we've got on the right here, you're going to press and hold and then move the right stick to do flips. And on the left side is your rates. So you've got two different rates, and it only has one yaw rate, and it's a little bit on the slow side, as pretty common for Syma. But it's not bad. It flies really nice and smooth, and it's good enough. It's not super sporty in the air, but you wouldn't really expect it to be that sporty. It's a little bit heavy, so flip recovery can be a little slow to recover, but otherwise it actually flies pretty nice. It doesn't feel too heavy in the air. But yeah, that's about it for the transmitter, and there's no headless mode or anything, so you just got flips and rates. When you're on the ground, you just move the right stick, and that's how it'll drive. So if you press up, it'll go forward, and then left and right it'll turn, and it is just non-proportional turning, so left or right just gives full stick or full wheel input. So the left, when you turn left, I think just with the way the torque of the motors is working, it can tend to want to spin out in your left turns, whereas the right turns are a lot smoother and nicer. And then this one does have suspension on the front wheels there. You can see it's got a little bit of give to it. There's nothing on the back though, but the front, that kind of helps smooth out some of the bumps and keep the steering wheels on the ground, so it'll be controllable over bumps. Whereas that clone, the X25 that I just recently reviewed, it doesn't have any suspension on it at all. So that was a nice little extra touch there. I think this is a pretty nice model. This does have a battery bay here on the bottom, which is a little weird with this. You got this kind of latch that you move out of the way. Let's see if I can get in there. Oh, that latch is kind of a pain. There we go. And so now there's a little, there you can see it. That's where the battery plugs in, and then it fits in there and it all closes up. So there's no wires hanging out of this one like the X25. Once you've got the battery plugged in, it's nice and clean, and then there's an on-off switch here. So that's pretty nice. But it is a little awkward to mess with this little latch thing. We'll go ahead and look at the battery. It's a chunky little thing, but it is just a 1S LiPo. And let's see if I can get it to focus in. There we go. On the left there you see 600 milliamp hour. So a little bit smaller battery than the X25, and it therefore does give a little bit shorter flight times. I'll get to that in just a second. We'll show we've got a spare set of props and a screwdriver in there, and then we've got our USB charging cable. And that takes about an hour and a half to charge the battery. And then you get about 5.5 minute flight times with like a 15-second LVC warning. And I think the X25 was like 6-minute flights, so just a little bit shorter on the flight time. I didn't drive this one around for the entire duration of the battery, but I did with the X25, and that was like 20 minutes. So I'm going to assume about the same for this. So depending on how much you're driving and flying, you're going to see somewhere between 5.5 to 20 minutes of runtime. So quite a bit of fun you can get out of this on one battery charge. And then so like I was saying, you just move the right stick to drive, and then once you start giving throttle, it's gonna stop the wheels and then turn on the props and start flying around. And then one thing I said about the X25 is that it was a little bit slow to transition when you land and then start giving the right stick input to drive, there's a little bit of a pause. It seems like the Syma version's a little bit faster with that. So I was able to get pretty smooth transitionings from flying, landing, and then just going right into driving. So that's pretty cool to just drive around and take off and then come land and continue driving. And it flies well and it drives well, so I had quite a bit of fun with this model. I think it's pretty neat. Oh, and you can recalibrate it by holding both sticks down right. And I think that is all the details. Let me check my notes real quick. Yep, that's all there is to say about it, so let's go take it out for a flight. Alright, this is the flight review of the Syma X9 fly car. Pretty neat little thing. We got white headlights in the front there and red in the back, just like a real car, so that's pretty cool. And we'll start out just by driving. So to drive, you just start moving the right stick. You don't have to press any button or anything. And it is all just bang bang controls. There's no proportional. Actually, it looks like throttle. Yeah, throttle is proportional, but steering is not. And the rates do apply to speed as well, so when you're on high rates it's a lot, not a lot faster, but a bit faster. It tends to pee or spin out when you do left turns, but right turns are pretty good. Actually maybe, looks like rates don't apply to the driving. It looks like it's all one speed. Yeah, I think it does slow down. I can't tell, it's not much of a difference, but it's like it has a slow transition. But yeah, I think it is a little bit slower on low rates. Anyway, let's take off to flying. Just start to give it throttle and it'll go right into flying. And it does fly nice and smooth, doesn't feel too heavy in the air. It's got good control. Look at that pretty sky. Nice blue sky. Let's do some flips in front of that. So hold the right bumper and move the right stick to flip in whatever direction. A little bit of wind there, kind of having trouble fighting it. There we go. So I'm in high rates now. Here's our yaw rate. Looks like it does not change. Just one yaw rate. Kind of get a funnel going there. It's not too bad. It does fly really nice and smooth. I like the way it flies. Right into driving. That was a pretty nice transition right there. That is cool, changing from driving to flying. Pretty cool. Little flying car can drive too.
I got the little quadcopter, but mine doesn't do the remote control car thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's kind of neat.
Right on. How long does the battery last?
Not too long. I think like 6 or 7 minutes, something like that. But it depends on if you're flying or driving. You know, it drives a lot longer than it flies for. Yeah, you too. I think this one transitions from flying to driving better than that SYX25 does. Looks like it's got a little bit smoother moving into driving, so I can land and go right into driving. It's pretty cool. Wind's kicking up a little bit, making it a little tricky to fight it. It's doing all right. Alright, well I think that was all there is to show. Bring her in for a landing. Drive her on over. Oh, and it does go in reverse too. Alright, well there we go. That's the Syma X9 fly car. Pretty cool. I have fun with this one, and even draws attention from the neighbors. Alright, well thanks for watching. Check the video description for a price and purchase link, and I'll see you next time.